Hello everyone, Savella Morgan here. Thank you for stopping by and listening to another episode of 21st Century Hannah. Before we get started, I would like to thank my sponsors and my supporters. A great big thank you to Morgan Air Conditioning, Sales, Service, and Installation, serving Tampa, Florida, and the surrounding areas. Morgan Air Conditioning can be reached by calling 813-500-7765. That's 813-500-7765. Thank you, Morgan Air, for recognizing the vision of 21st Century Hannah. Your sponsorship is greatly appreciated. I would also like to thank Alba Digital Media. Alba Digital Media created my childlessnotbychoice.net website, and they produce my podcast. It is wonderful to have the same company creating my website and producing my podcast. Thank you, Alba Digital Media, for making me look good and sound good. To contact Alba Digital Media for your website or podcast production needs, visit www.albadigitalmedia.com. That's www.albadigitalmedia.com. Next, I would like to thank Devoted, the musical duo who created my theme music. When I first approached Devoted for possibly creating a theme song for my podcast, I did so because of the pure talent I have witnessed from Devoted. Thank you, Devoted, for all the wonderful music you create for so many people. Devoted can be reached by emailing devotedministries@gmail.com. That's devotedministries@gmail.com. Finally, I would like to thank the owner of Edinburgh Dusters out of Edinburgh, Scotland, for his artistic suggestions on my websites and on my social media content. Your timely assistance in helping me during the initial stages of building this platform is truly appreciated. If you would like to help create awareness for and about the Childless Not by Choice community by becoming a one-time or ongoing sponsor, please contact me via email at savella@savellamorgan.com. That's savella@savellamorgan.com. As a sponsor, your product will be advertised to a global audience via this podcast as well as my multiple social media platforms. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Now, on to the show. Hello, everyone. Savella Morgan here. Welcome back to 21st Century Hannah, where my mission is to recognize and speak to the broken hearts of childless, not by choice women and men around the world. I am spreading the great news that we can live a joyful, relevant, and fulfilled life, regardless of the fact that we could not have children. Thank you so much for allowing me to sit with you for just a little while once again. Well, thank you to those of you who are visiting for the first time. I appreciate your taking the time to check in and listen in to this episode, and I hope you will listen to all of the previous episodes as well. And of course, thank you to my repeat listeners. Thank you for coming back time after time, and for those of you who have downloaded all of my episodes and listened to them, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I am deeply humbled. Thank you very much. And I hope that you are telling your friends and family about the podcast, 21st Century Hannah. I appreciate that as well. And I hope that you will all come back for another visit. This episode is going to be all about what I found out about PCOS, Polycystic Ovarian Syndrome. And I had always heard the term, and I knew it had something to do with childlessness or having, problems getting pregnant and all of that, but I really did not know a whole lot about it. And so in my effort to research and discuss and talk about throughout the year the different types of what I mentioned earlier in an earlier episode, we're going to call them disease states. This disease state, the one we're going to talk about today, is PCOS. I think that's the way it's known more so than the medical name, the medical term, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So I'm going to call it PCOS, like I hear everybody else calling it, and hopefully that's not offending anyone, but if it is, let me know. I mean, as I said, I did not know a whole lot about it until I started doing the research on it. So, polycystic ovarian syndrome. It really saddened me and surprised me as I read the symptoms and the manifestations of the disease. Many of you are boldly living your lives as you battle the disease, and I am so proud of you for not giving into it. I was just amazed when when I read up on it. One of the first questions I had as I researched PCOS was just how many women have this disease. And in my research, I found that according to a 2015 article, a Huffington Post article written by Heather Huhman, I hope I'm saying her name right, Huhman, her research said that between 5 and 10% of women of childbearing age in the United States, or roughly 5 million women, have PCOS. And that percentage, she went on to say, makes it one of the most common hormonal endocrine disorders in women. Again, another surprise for me. I had no idea. And what's more, it also makes it the most common cause of female infertility. I will post the links to all of the research that I did, including Heather's article, in the show notes if you want to do some more research of your own. But that was another shocker for me. The most common cause of female infertility. Wow, that I had no idea. So I also wanted to know, though, because I have a worldwide audience, I wanted to know on a worldwide, a global level, how many women suffer from PCOS. And I went to Science Weekly, an online article magazine, and they had an article that said 1 in 15 women worldwide suffer from PCOS. And what's I mean, I guess I got surprise after surprise after surprise. So apparently the medical community still does not know much about the disease. And so I hope that they will continue to work on it. I'm sure they are. And I always want to applaud the medical community because they have so many different diseases that they're always researching and just trying to figure things out and come up with cures. So I applaud the scientists and the medical community who they must just have to do what we might in the lay people of the world may consider just so, monotone and mundane things that they have to do to come up with cures. And so I want to just take a minute out to applaud them and thank them for the passion that they have for the work that they do. So back to PCOS, the symptoms. Then I got to thinking, well, what are the symptoms? Because I had not, maybe I knew somebody who had it and I just didn't know that's what they had. And maybe, this is just not something they wanted to discuss. And I could have been talking to people who had it and didn't know. So I said, wow, I wonder what the symptoms are. And the symptoms are acne, weight gain, and trouble losing weight, extra body hair, facial hair, and apparently really thick facial hair too, irregular periods, and of course, trouble getting pregnant. And so I was like, wow, okay, I probably know people or have seen people, and now it kind of makes sense for me. It's always so good to do research, isn't it? And it's so wonderful to have research and searchable, being able to search online and having the answers at hand. And I love the age we live in. I just love the age of technology and the way that we have answers so quickly. And I'm always in love with technology and being able to reach the entire world with my message. And so if this is something that you're suffering with and maybe you didn't know, and I'm hoping that this is an eye-opening episode for you and that this is just the first step in your getting the help and assistance that you need. So Yeah, acne, weight gain, trouble losing weight, extra body hair, irregular periods, trouble getting pregnant. And those are just the symptoms. As with any of the other issues that cause childlessness or trouble having children, all you can really do is what is in your power to do. That means, and I'm going to talk about nutrition because that's a big deal for me this year. That means eating the right foods and watching your weight as much as possible. I mean, some of us are never going to be a size 8. That's not what we're trying for. We're trying to get within the weight that we need to be in. And, even if we never quite get there, just eating properly, just eating the best foods that we can. Yeah, we're human, and once in a while we might want a slice of chocolate cake because those of you who are repeat listeners know I'm a chocoholic. I love chocolate. So I am not going to sit here and say, well, I don't think you should ever eat chocolate ever again. No, we're human. But we're going to have to watch even more so than maybe the normal person. And normal, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I just mean the person who can have chocolate cake without a problem. That's not me. So, we're just going to maybe have chocolate cake once or twice a year instead of once a month or once every 3 months or 4 months like some people can. We we don't have to go without or do without, but we're going to have to be vigilant about what we put into our mouths. That's just the bottom line, and that's how we watch our weight and just try to eat the best foods that we possibly can. So, speaking of that, how does nutrition play a part? That was my next question to myself. So, because again, nutrition is on the forefront of the podcast this year. If you listen to the earlier episodes of 2017, you'll see that I started out the year talking about nutrition and how nutrition saved my life. So I think that was the first or second episode of 2017, how nutrition saved my life, because nutrition was just that important in the healing process for me after I had my hysterectomy. So I'm really going to just talk about nutrition, amongst other things, throughout this year. That's how important I believe it is. For those of us who are in the childless, not by choice demographic, those who are suffering from childlessness, from having trouble having children, for those who can still try, nutrition is going to be a big deal. I'm no doctor. I'm not a nutritionist. But I think we all know. We know that as long as we try to put the best foods in our bodies will respond better. So at least try, give it a try. So I wasn't surprised to find out, and you probably won't be either, that high fiber foods, anti-inflammatory foods kind of surprised me, but high fiber foods, anti-inflammatory foods, and lean protein are supposed to be most of the diet of the person suffering from PCOS. They said to limit the processed carbohydrates. We know what those are. White bread, baked stuff, anything that God didn't make, pretty much. We need to limit those. And that's kind of what I was talking about before. Yes, every once in a while you might want to have a slice of cake, especially on your birthday. Who doesn't want to have a slice of their own birthday cake? But it shouldn't be a regular part of the diet. So limiting the processed carbohydrates should not be a big surprise. I know it's probably easier said than done, especially if you live in a place where it's hard to get to the good foods. But as I said, please try your best. And I know eating better makes you feel better. I have made some changes myself in certain things that I eat. And I feel better because for me, I've been suffering from headaches. Well, not just headaches, migraines, since I was around age 11. And as I got older, they went away, and then they started coming back a couple of years ago. And I realized I just could not deal with them anymore. I mean, you could never really deal with migraines, but it seemed like as I got older, I just realized I couldn't deal with it. I just couldn't. I had to figure out what was going on. and nobody could really tell me. My mom had been taking me to doctors from the time I was 11, and they told her that it was growing pains, or they didn't really know what was going on. And it wasn't until the last few years when I ran into, and you know what, I may have him on as a guest too. I've been thinking about having this gentleman on as a guest, but I happened to sit next to this gentleman at a luncheon, and I could see he was fit. He's a bodybuilder. He teaches fitness classes, and it just so happens. Isn't it funny how those things happen? It just so happens that I ended up seated next to him for the luncheon. And when we got to talking, and I was telling him about these migraines and how they were coming back, and I couldn't take it anymore. And he told me to, for 21 days, he said, I know we just met, but can you trust me to go on a 21, for 21 days, do what I tell you to do for 21 days? And I'm like, sure, at this point, I will try anything. And he took me off of all foods not made by God, basically. I mean, they had to be proteins, chicken, fish, really not even so much beef, but chicken and fish, and fruit and vegetables, and nuts and legumes, or however they're pronounced. Legumes? Probably legumes. I never could figure out how to pronounce that. I think it's legumes. Anyway, for 21 days, and no migraines during that 21-day period either. And then he said, okay, now that the 21 days are over, go back and start working back into your diet what you were eating before. And I noticed something, and as I said, I'm not a clinician. I'm not going to go into any great detail here because everybody's different. But I noticed that certain foods triggered migraines for me. And a lot of them were not made by God. Let me put it that way. So that's when I realized I had to make some changes. So yeah, I've made the necessary changes I need to make. And so I'm telling you that story to just encourage you that I'm not saying your PCOS is going to go away if you eat fruit and vegetables, but what I'm saying is I believe that the closer you stay to eating, natural foods, proper foods, the better you're going to feel. That's all I'm saying. So, so as I said, I have the links in here. I have quite a few links in the show notes. Check them out. I have additional links from about the PCOS syndrome, polycystic ovarian syndrome. There's an article there from Heather Huhman. She wrote that article for Huffington Post. She wrote it in 2015, and I noticed she updated it in 2016. So that may be a good article to read. And then the Science Daily article. And I know some people balk at WebMD, but I have a couple of articles there that I got from WebMD, and then there's an article there from Healthline. So there's a few articles, 5 articles for more information on PCOS that you can read up on. And what I started doing recently was I started adding in links from stories that may be of interest to you. And so I've got 3 articles. I had more, but I figured with 5 articles about PCOS, I would just add 3 for the stories of interest section. So those stories are right below the articles on PCOS. So check those out, because what I did was I decided to just create an alert for myself so that every time some story or article or even a video about childlessness comes up anywhere in the world, I grab it, I read it, and then I add the link in the show notes for you to read. So hope that helps. I hope you like that. And I gave Elaine S. a shout out last time, and she's been sending me articles regularly now. She said, I told her thank you, and I said, did you hear my shout out? Because she messaged me on Facebook. I said, did you hear my shout out in the last episode? And she said, yes. Now I don't feel so weird sending you the articles. I'm like, no, never feel weird. Never feel weird sending me articles, because I love the engagement from the community, Childless Not by Choice, and even if you have children, but you just appreciate the message and the platform, I appreciate links from anyone. So never feel like you're being weird or anything if you send me articles. I love it. And if anyone wants to leave me a message, speaking of that, remember, just you can email me at sevilla@sevillamorgan.com, or you can go to childlessnotbychoice.net, and if you look to your right, you'll see a tab. It's a speak pipe tab. If you click on it, you can leave me a message of up to 90 seconds. And if you don't like the message you left, you get to redo it as many times as you want. So don't be afraid to leave me a voicemail. I would love to get a voicemail or two or three or 10 from anyone. You can do it anywhere, from anywhere in the world. Just go to www.childlessnotbychoice.net, look to your right, click on the Speak Pipe tab, and leave me a message. And I've done it for other podcasters too. It's so easy, very easy to do. And I always hear from the podcasting community how much they appreciate hearing from their listeners. And so I leave messages, or I post in Facebook or send emails to podcasters that I listen to on a regular basis, because I have a whole list of podcasts that I listen to. And whenever I hear a really great episode, I send them a message, and they love it. They love hearing from listeners. So not just because I'm podcasting, I love to hear from my listeners as well. And people like to be encouraged. I like to be encouraged. So if you are so inclined, leave me a message on SpeakPipe, or send me an email, or direct message me on Facebook. I would appreciate any of that. And if you suffer from PCOS and you would like to be interviewed, let me know. Let me know via email. You can for that, I would say don't leave a speak pipe on that. Send me an email, sevilla@sevillamorgan.com, and we'll chit chat, of course, before, because as I said in my previous episode, I always vet everyone just to sit down, chit chat with you, see how you are. You can see how I am. And, I just want to make sure that everybody's comfortable when they're being interviewed. So, if PCOS is something you suffer from, let me know. Maybe we can do an interview. But in the meantime, I hope that this tidbit of information on PCOS was helpful to you. I'm thinking that because I have listeners from all around the world, maybe you had it and didn't know until you heard this episode that it sounds really familiar to you, the symptoms and everything. And so I really, really hope that this was of some assistance, and I know that the links in the show notes will also help. And then you can better speak with your doctor too. You can, when you visit your doctor, a tip, when you visit your doctor, visit with intention. Don't just go assuming that they can read your mind and they can just run some tests and tell you what's going on, or figure out what's going on. No one knows your body better than you do. No doctor, no one. The only one that knows your body better than you is God. Okay, so don't rely on the doctor when you have an issue, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that sometimes people see doctors as superhuman, and doctors are wonderful. They went to school for many years to become the doctors they are, and they deserve their title. But they are human beings, and as I said, they can't read your mind. So when you go to the doctor, make sure you go with intention. Make sure you have your questions. There's no problem. There's nothing wrong with writing your questions down. And because a lot of times, I know here in the United States, doctors only have maybe 10-15 minutes per patient. So you have to have intention when you go to your doctor. So if you're feeling a certain way, or if you're dealing with something and you just can't get any answers for it, and you just feel like your doctor isn't helping you, go with a different frame of mind this time. Go with a list of questions. Go with intention. Of course, be kind, and, be respectful. We should all be respectful with each other anyway. So why not be respectful with your doctor? But have intention and know how you feel, and know that no one can tell you how to feel or how you feel. Only you know how you feel. But go with some questions, and I think that may help a lot of you as well, with your experience at your doctor's visits. So keep in mind that I think, I don't want to say and then it's not, but I think my next episode is going to be about endometriosis. I think that's what I'm going to talk about next. I'm going to be researching all of the different disease states, as I said in an earlier episode. So I believe endometriosis, because I don't know much about that either. I mean, I think I know as much about the next person, and I know that may surprise some of you because my podcast is all about childless not by choice. But remember, I've been doing this for a year and a half, and I've been doing it from my perspective, and my perspective is fibroids. So I can tell you all about the fibroids because I did the research on them when I was dealing with them for a decade as I was trying to buy time. And so, yeah, I know all about the fibroids, but I really, as I said earlier, didn't know a whole lot about PCOS, and I think I'm about to find out a lot more than I know now about endometriosis. And then I'm also going to be talking about miscarriage. I know that's going to be a big one because 1 in 4 pregnancies end in miscarriage, so I know that's going to be a big episode. But hey, you never know which episode is big because I'm looking at my numbers from my last episode, the one on men, and the numbers are just, I can't believe it. It's the numbers are pretty big for my podcast. Because my podcast is so niched, it doesn't have like a million downloads like some podcasts do, and I'm fine with that. I know that what I'm doing, I'm supposed to be doing, so I do my podcasting. I attend to my platform with blinders on. And so I'm not looking at anybody else's podcast, but I know that there are people who have thousands of downloads every month or millions of downloads per year. But this is a niched, very niche down podcast. So when I see the numbers spike, it's a big spike for me. And the episode on men, the last episode, men, that's the name of the episode. That's an episode that I did to encourage men who are childless not by choice. When I saw the numbers and I see the numbers continue to go up, I was like, wow, I had no idea. I had no idea that that would be such a popular episode. But hey, we sometimes need to think outside the box, and that's what I'm doing here, even by discussing PCOS in particular, or endometriosis in particular, or miscarriage. I mean, none of those things are my story, but I really want to reach as many people in the audience as I can. And so I hope that this episode was helpful to you, and I hope that you have access to good food wherever you are in the world. And I'm always thinking about you. This is no joke. I'm always thinking about the childless, not by choice women around the world, whether you're in some country in Africa somewhere, or in the Netherlands, or my friend over in Finland. Hope you're well. My friends in Australia. I keep everybody in mind, and I look at the listenership, and I see Uganda, and I see China, and Egypt, and the Caribbean, and of course here in the United States. And I'm not looking at the list right now, so I'm sure I'm missing some countries, of course, but I just really want to thank you guys for listening and for coming back for more episodes all the time and listening to the different episodes. Thank you so very much. And I also want to I just got some new people joining the groups within the last couple of days too. So I want to thank you all for joining the private group and the closed group. Thank you so much. I am now looking to create an online get together, because I know not everybody lives near me. I know some of you do, but not everyone lives in the area. So I have an account on appear.in. And so I'm creating some time, niching out some space to meet with people. I think Appearing allows 8, and I think I just saw something where it allows up to 12 people in the room at one time. And so if you're interested in that, let me know. Message me. Leave me that message on SpeakPipe or email me. Let me know if you'd like to be in the group. It's just a time of a get-together, to chit-chat, to introduce ourselves to each other. And as I said, 2017 is going to be a next step, next level type of year for this podcast and for this platform, 21st Century Hannah. And I hope you'll come along with me. So anyway, thanks for listening. And I hope to have you listen again to future episodes. Thanks for the downloads of the past episodes. Thanks to those who are downloading and listening to the previous episode, encouraging the men. That's really cool. I'm glad to know that that's really hitting home with a lot of people. And I'm so glad and humbled that I could encourage the men who are childless, not by choice, like that. So thanks again for listening, everybody. And talk to you soon. I was going to say see you soon. Maybe on Appear and I'll see some of you soon. But in the meantime, I'll talk to you again soon. Have a good one. Bye.